Have you ever?
Are you listening? Damn. Hey, how we doing today? How we doing, AFC North Talk fans and everybody who likes it? Let me make sure in the comments, make sure my volume's up. I'm trying to do something different with the mic here. But let me know how that's doing. But also, let me introduce our esteemed panel of extremely biased people on this show. We are so biased on this show, the most biased. First, we have Ace. Ace, how you doing? How's that flip season going for you, man?
It's going great, man. It's going great. Just became officially part of PS5, Team PS5 today. So it's a great day. It's always a great day.
All right, and representing the Pittsburgh Steelers, we have the always on time Tony. Tony, how you doing?
I'm on time. I'll tell you what's not on time is my Xbox. I pre-ordered an Xbox from Target. It shipped on Monday. It'll be here sometime. I don't know. It's an hour away from me right now. It's been an hour away since 8 o'clock last night. Ace, congratulations on getting your PS5. I might get an Xbox hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm hoping till like February 2022 to get mine. Sonny, how you doing, man?
That's where I am too. I still have my PS4, still playing some of the games that I had. Nowhere in sight for a PS5. That's okay. Somewhere at some point, maybe as Ace is migrating to his PS6, I'll get my PS5. Hey, I'm ready for this stuff.
Sonny's gonna get that PS5 Slim in 3 years.
There you go. There you go.
All right, and I'm Quincy Carrier, representing the Browns. I'm actually wearing orange today. I got some flack in it a couple shows ago for never wearing Browns colors. Look, I'm in kind of an orange. Now that could be Bengals colors. Y'all might think I'm a traitor, but
we got Tennessee volunteers. You never know.
Who cheers for Tennessee?
No, the crazy thing is people have been saying that about Quincy for a while. And the one show that he wears brown stuff, and I'm like, come on, guys, give him some props. No one says anything.
No one said anything. No one said anything.
People freak out at the Steelers shared though.
Oh man, I don't remember what you're talking about, Sonny. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was your best look. You should go back.
I'll delete.
So where do we want to start with today's show? What games do we want to start with today? Let's go with the Browns. The Browns are coming back off of the bye week. They're playing Houston at home. I'm going to let everybody else get their thoughts off about this game, and then I'm going to tell everybody why they're wrong. We're going to start out with Sonny. Sonny, tell me how you think this game's going to go down.
Look, the Texans are struggling. They just beat a Jacksonville Jaguars team with a guy that I can't remember who he was. I know his mom was very proud when he threw the almost tying touchdown, right? And then he threw a horrible 2-point conversion. Yes, I went back and watched that game. But Texans are just bad. They're bad defensively. Offensively, they do have Deshaun Watson, which he's slippery. I love Deshaun Watson. But they took the best target out, right? So receiver-wise, they're iffy. Running backs, they're pedestrian at best. So we have talked about the Browns defense. Usually they struggle against the running side. That should not be the case in this game. I think this is set up for the Browns to win, and to win convincingly. I'm not going to say blow them out, but it's, sometimes you win a game by 10, but you feel like that game was in control. I think that's what it's going to be this game. I'm expecting they go back to their ground and pound with Hunt. I'm expecting actually to have Baker to have a good game. Play action. Again, I don't think the Texans defense has anything that they can provide against this Browns weapons, right? I know Cooper is questionable. I think he's supposed to play, right, Quincy?
Yeah, what, Cooper?
Hooper.
Austin Hooper. He might.
Yeah.
He's coming off of appendicitis. He practiced today, though.
Okay, so if Hooper plays, I think that itself is a matchup problem. I don't think Cunningham can handle Hooper. Hooper's a great guy that he knows how to get open, and that is big for Baker too, having that guy there. And Landry, he'll be doing his thing, and Higgins on the outside. It's just I think the Browns have too much weapons against the Houston team, so I'm expecting the Browns to win around by 10.
All right, Tony, what's your thoughts on this game?
It's an interesting game for the Browns. It comes during this kind of 4-game stretch for them when these winnable games. You go back to that game against the Raiders where they were favored. They're obviously going to be favored in this game. They'll be favored next week when they play the Eagles, and then they'll probably be favored again. And then when they play the Jaguars on the road. So these are 4 games where the Browns need to accumulate wins now because this is a 5-3 football team. Still sees itself as a playoff team. Still should be a playoff team in an AFC that's going to have 7 or maybe even 8 teams in the playoffs. But if you look at the back half of their schedule, they've got 3 really tough games. They got Titans, Ravens, and then the Steelers in their final week. So need to get back to accumulating those wins. Disappointing loss against the Raiders. I look at this Houston team, and Houston has played better as of late. I mean, I think firing Bill O'Brien was definitely a plus for them. And they have 2 wins now. Both of them, of course, coming against the Jaguars, but wins are wins. They did play a pretty competitive game a couple weeks back against Tennessee as well. I think the big thing for the Browns in this game is can they get Nick Chubb back? Is that actually going to happen? And is he, how much do they feel comfortable getting him back into the lineup fully, right? I think if he plays in this game, I don't think there's any indication yet that he's definitely going to play, but it seems like he's heading on the right track. Well, then, that can be, I think, a big get for them because the running game hasn't been what it was at the beginning of the year when it was the 2-headed monster. So getting him back in the fold, I think, is a big for them. And then on the other side, for Houston, they're going to be relying a lot on Deshaun Watson in this game, as they do every week. But this week, I think David Johnson is going to be out for this game, so you're not going to see a big rushing attack from the Houston Texans. The one thing about Houston is that I think, this is definitely a downfield attack for them. Will Fuller, a big downfield threat for them. And that has been a problem for the Browns. Of course, we've talked so many times on this podcast about Andrew Sendejo and the problems the Steelers have in the secondary, specifically at the safety position. But I'm with Sonny on this one. I think this is a back-to-basics type of game for Cleveland. It's a home game for them. They can get Nick Chubb back into that lineup, establish the line of scrimmage, stay out of turnover mistakes, and they should be able to win this game, fairly comfortably. Like Sonny said, I know this is going to be a blowout, but, a nice 10, 13-point win where the outcome is never in doubt.
All right, Ace, what you think?
Yeah, I think when I was looking at putting together my parlay ticket and I'm looking at this game, I would probably favor Cleveland in this game. Obviously, the Texans, whenever you have a good quarterback like Deshaun Watson, they're always going to have a fighting chance. But I think that Cleveland, just like Cincinnati, needed that bye week, needed to get healthy, needed to get Nick Chubb back. And I've kind of been talking about that. Nothing against Kareem Hunt. He's very talented. But I think that this shows how important Nick Chubb is to that offense. And if Nick Chubb is in this game, Austin Hooper is in this game, those are top weapons for this offense to definitely be able to do what they need to do, especially with OBJ out, right? We talk about that as well. You're missing Nick Chubb, you're missing OBJ, you're missing Austin Hooper. I mean, any team that happens to, you're not going to be the same offensively outside of that. So if they can get Nick Chubb back, I think that they can get back to being that physical ground and pound team that blew the doors off of the Bengals defense week 2. And I think that that's going to help the Browns essentially win this game. Now, depends on what happens, but I feel confident that the Browns can come into this game and get a win.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on most of these fronts here. I think the biggest thing for the Browns not only is the people that are going to get back from the injury list who haven't been playing, it's the people who have been very banged up this season that are going to be able to be, at least a week's more healthy without being hit. Jarvis Landry has been not his usual self because he's been still recovering from hip surgery all season. It looks like he's finally off of the practice injury report. Kareem Hunt, he's somebody who he's been playing well. He just hasn't been playing at Nick Chubb levels. And part of that has to do is because he's basically been, either out there with a hurt hamstring or a hurt rib anytime he's out there. So he hasn't been 100% healthy. He's now off the injury report. Baker Mayfield's now off the injury report. And then you could get guys like Austin Hooper, Wyatt Teller, all these guys back here. The big thing with Houston for the Cleveland Browns, in the big hole they have on their defense, their coverage is not great. We already know about that, but their run defense is especially terrible against zone run teams. If you look what they did against Tennessee and Minnesota, two teams that we know run a similar offense to the Cleveland Browns, in those two games alone, they gave up 425 yards and 5 touchdowns. That is a ridiculous amount of production that they gave up. So that's where you attack them. That's where you can get them. They're not undisciplined defense to where they're gonna slide on every play action, but they're very I don't know, it's conservative is the right word for it, but they take like a slow man's approach to it, to where they will let the play develop and they won't be wrong on the play action, but they'll be late to react to whatever it is that you do. So you can take advantage of them there. I don't know if the Texans are going to be able to get pressure on the Cleveland Browns offensive line. Everything that's been up and down on this team, the offensive line has not. And if Baker has time, then I think he'll have time to find Jarvis Landry, who's going to be able to find his way into some of these soft spots in these zones like he does so well. So I do think Baker and Jarvis could have a big game here, but I think the onus is going to be more on these running backs to exploit what Texas has not been able to take care of all season, which is stopping the run. It's been a bad thing for them. The Browns should be poised to do that. As far as the other side of the ball, offensively, this is just like playing the Bengals, in my opinion. I think Deshaun Watson compares very favorably to a guy like Joe Burrow. I think they're very similar players, very similar skill set, in very similar situations here. I think Deshaun might have a better offensive line. He definitely has a better offensive line. But I think Joe Burrow has more explosive and better weapons than Deshaun Watson. Either way, both quarterbacks are going to be able to move the ball. The ideal that the Cleveland Browns defense is going to do anything to stop Deshaun Watson is ridiculous. What you can hope for is that Myles Garrett gets a sack or two, or forces a 3 and out. And, that gives you enough stops to be able to take advantage and control the ball and do those things. But that being said, I do think the Browns are going to win. I don't think it's going to be by a major margin. I think by most they win by 10 points, but I can easily see them eking this out by 3. But that's my thoughts on that game. We're going to go to the next game. Really a lot of intrigue going on this, playoff implications on this game. Bengals versus the team in Washington. Ace, I'm going to let you go first here. What do you think about this game? Where do you think it's going to line up, and what do you hope to extract from this game?
I think that coming into this game, if you would have asked me about 3 weeks ago about what was going to happen into this game, I would have been terrified. I think I said on here I didn't want to watch it. I was not going to live stream that game because it was going to be a funeral of this Bengals offensive line, because obviously the Steelers have the top pass rush in the league. It was one that I was worried about. But over the time, we watched a lot of these games. I watched the Steelers, I watched the Bengals, and I felt like it was a situation where the Bengals have started to improve in terms of dealing with that pass rush, right? So ever since that Ravens game, Zach Taylor, I have to give him credit on this, has made adjustments, and I don't know, it may be that they play actually better with Giovanni Bernard in the backfield rather than Joe Mixon, dare I say, because he's able to help pass protect better against those corners that blitz or those guys that get into the backfield. And I've seen a lot of interesting things from Zach Taylor in those regards, where he is putting guys like Gio in motion, but bringing them back to the backfield to help on those rushing plays. But I think the other thing that we've all saw from the Pittsburgh Steelers is there's always a tale of two Steelers in each game. They're either on fire or they just are frozen, like Tony said on the last episode. And with that inconsistency, I think that it's eventually going to catch them. I think the fact that the Bengals are flying high after this Titans win and going into a bye week, I think that gives me somewhat of some confidence against this Steelers team. Now, they could completely wreck this game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if the Steelers have 10 sacks in this game, obviously it could get ugly, right? But if they're able to hold these guys to maybe 3, maybe 4 sacks, I think that the Bengals actually have a chance in this game. And I think that Joe Burrow this is a huge game for him. He's going to have to prove that what happened to him against the Ravens, he's actually been able to learn from that and adjust accordingly. So with that being said, I think with the momentum of the Steelers always getting off at the last second and the Bengals trending high right now, I think that there is a realistic chance that the Bengals could potentially pull the upset here. Do I think that it's going to happen? Maybe. I mean, we've had a bye week. If this was Marvin Lewis coaching this team, I would say no, because Marvin Lewis is horrible coming out of a bye when it comes to the Steelers or any team for that regards. But I think that Zach Taylor, the one thing that I learned about him last season around the bye week was that he was able to fix issues in this offense. Primarily last year it was the run game. This year it's just been situational football. So if he's been able to get back and improve on that part of this football team, I think that they can do that, because when it comes to it, say what you want to say about Mike Tomlin. He's a good coach. He's aware of what to do with situational football, and he is a far superior coach than Zach Taylor at this moment. But if Zach Taylor is able to do that and make the right adjustments and have 2 weeks for them to be able to prep for this game, I think that Joe Burrow is definitely the X factor that helps them pull this out, especially since this isn't Andy Dalton coming in. But this is going to be a tall task. I'm by no means, and I'm not saying that the Bengals are going to go in and blow the doors off of these guys. But I think even if it's a situation like that Ravens game where Lamar had that last opportunity to throw that touchdown and win the game, I think Joe Burrow in that situation, and this is not saying that Joe Burrow is better than Lamar by any stretch of my imagination at all. I think Joe Burrow makes that pass and wins that game. And so I think, given that we've seen that in the Philly game, the Ravens game, a lot of these other games, I think Joe Burrow can actually make that play to pull off the upset.
All right, guys, I want to make a quick correction to the record. I think I said the Washington football team game. We're talking about Bengals Steelers. My apologies there. We actually got a super chat about that game. So Triv has a prediction already for next week. Free Dwayne Haskins. I got Washington 17-14. Sorry, Ace. We also have another super chat from Triv who says, fumbled, my bad. Hey, it's my fault. I got the Steelers 34-14, Ace. Ooh, hey, definitely not going to haunt. That'd be better than what the Browns did. Definitely not going to haunt Joe. Hopefully he gets out of this alive. That's going to be interesting. I know Tony is just fuming to say what he wants to say here, but we're going to go to Sonny. Sonny, what do you have?
Look, this is a game that – so we have documented how the Steelers have been starting slow, right? And actually, the Bengals have been doing the opposite. The Bengals, for the most part, have been starting very hot, and then like they stagger, wingle down. The defense eventually gives the win. It's what has been happening feels throughout the season. The Ravens game was one of the few that they basically were bad throughout the game, but for most of the games, the Bengals have been usually hot at the beginning, and then they wingle down. Okay. So this is a game that not only could be a trap game for the Steelers. I don't believe necessarily about trap games in division, because division games are so unique because teams know each other so well. But this is a game that if the Bengals can quasi-protect decently, I think they can exploit, and the Steelers start slow. This is a game that the Steelers I don't think should or could start slowly, because the Bengals will exploit those defensive problems that the Steelers have. The Bengals have the receivers, tall, big receivers, and Joe Burrow takes advantage of that. So I think this is a game that if the Bengals start quick, then it goes back to the defense. Can the defense hold back the Steelers? Because the Steelers will come, right? As the Steelers have started slowly, but the Steelers eventually say, like, okay, let's stop this nonsense and let's just go play. Can the defense hold that storm? And if they cannot, can the Bengals then keep putting points? Because it goes back both ways. The Steelers are slow, and the other team, they put points. And the second half feels like the Steelers, not only the offensive wakes up, but the defense also just cramps down and doesn't allow as many points. So if the Bengals start hot, the main thing will be second half. How is that second half? Because we can see this game, first half, I don't know, 13-0, 13-3, 13-7, something like that, Bengals, right? But the other side is, if the Bengals are winning, let's say 13-7, can they hold that lead, right? Can they protect Burrow? Because the Steelers are coming hunting. Dupree and TJ Watt are coming to just add it up Burrow. And then Minka's probably going to be cheating. I feel like this is a game that Minka is cheating to see if he can make that pick six, right? So he's going to be, yeah.
I mean, you meant like you. I thought,
no.
Like PD, we're going to get like PD talk or something. Like, whoa.
Meaning that if he's playing cover one, he's reading the quarterback a lot, and he's probably taking a lot of chances, hoping that his pass rushers are getting nearby, and he's getting a throw that is quick, and he can get that pick or pick six. So Burrow protecting the ball. The offensive line has to, again, not stop that rusher, but just give him enough time. And the running game, the Steelers, Alualo, I don't think he'll be back, right, Tony?
It's touch and go at this point. He's limited in practice so far. There's optimism that he can play, but it's a 50-50 right now.
So I think that the Bengals need to try to run the ball, especially in the A gap. It feels like that's where the Steelers have been the softest since Alualu has gone. So run the A gap, play action, hit them, and then don't. If they start hot, the Bengals cannot pull back. They need to keep pushing because the Steelers eventually are coming. So this is a game that I'm just gonna go with the upset here.
No.
I'm gonna go with upset city. I'm gonna go Bengals 17, Steelers 13, because I need the Steelers to lose.
Wow. We do need them to lose this game. Yeah. I mean, this is in Sonny's self-interest for the Steelers to lose this game because not only does he need the Steelers to lose, the division game would make it much easier for the Ravens.
Let me rephrase this. I'm gonna flip the scores. Steelers 17 and Bengals 13. The only reason is the only time that I haven't picked the Bengals, the Bengals won. I need them to win. So let me just go Steelers 17,
Can't do
Bengals
it.
13.
The first score is the one that counts. Unfortunately, Sonny, you've done them in.
I broke the rules, damn it.
Sonny, man, I'm telling you, just join me. Look, just fight for the wild card because you ain't winning the division. It's over with. They got 8 wins already. They're gonna get it. They're gonna get it.
If they lose one more, we could potentially get it.
It does involve Baltimore going to Heinz Field on Thanksgiving and winning, which is not a guarantee. I mean, I get your optimism. I understand it. But, it does involve the Ravens going to Heinz Field.
What if the Steelers lose and then the Ravens lose against the Patriots or something like that? That would be hilarious.
I'm okay with that, actually. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. So should we get to Tony? Should we let Tony speak?
Probably not.
I'll mute him. It's passing by.
All right.
Yeah, actually, I could skip my thoughts this week. I could skip them. You go to Ace's show. I was on Ace's show yesterday. Gave my thoughts on the game there. So, yeah, you just go to his show.
All right, give us a quick little synopsis on what you think is going to happen real quick here, Tony.
All right, here's the thing. I did go on Ace's show yesterday. I did predict the Steelers to lose this football game.
Oh, what? I didn't know that.
I did do that. And it's not because of Ben, right? Obviously, there's a lot of people in Pittsburgh right now who are feeling, Ben Roethlisberger, he has to be separated from the team right now because the whole situation there with Vance McDonald, and he was in close contact. In fact, and by the way, Anthony McFarland, the rookie running back, just went on the injury report today for the Steelers with an illness. This is the same thing that happened to Vance McDonald next week. We don't know that it's related, but, obviously anytime someone has an illness now, the red flags go up. And then the other thing that should be talked about here is that Pitt, the university in Pittsburgh, who shares a practice facility with the Steelers, canceled their game this week because of an outbreak on their team. So there's some concern there for sure. No doubt about it. But my reason for picking the Bengals in this game was not because of that situation. Ben is going to play in this game. I think there's no doubt. I know people are talking about Mason Rudolph, maybe Josh Dobbs. I would love it if my boy Duck got another chance because remember, he is undefeated against teams from Ohio. Just an FYI. No, the reason why I predicted the Bengals in this game.
He lost to Youngstown State in college. I was there at that game. All right.
As a professional, sorry. As an amateur, you're right. But once he turned professional, he's undefeated. No, the reason why I was convinced. I did a podcast a couple weeks back with Dean Iampietro, who's the sports guy for WPXI, a local station in Pittsburgh. And he told me, he's like, I think the Bengals are going to be the Steelers' first loss. No doubt about it. He kept telling me that the Bengals are going to be their first loss. And I scoffed when I first heard it. Come on, the Bengals are going to be that team. But, he made a compelling case, which is that, first of all, the Steelers are just not playing well right now. And I get, I know Steeler fans are so funny right now because it's a whole part of Twitter, Steeler Twitter, where they're saying, like, the media is being ridiculous and the Steelers are underrated. And, I get it because some people in the media are, I just saw an article on 538 before we started today. The Steelers are the worst 8-0 team of all time, or the luckiest 8-0 team of all time. You got all these power rankings out there where the Steelers are like 2 or 3, even though they're the only undefeated team left. The whole thing with Ben and PFF where they said, that Ben is holding back the Steelers because he's a 16th ranked quarterback on PFF. I get why Steeler fans are upset.
What?
But the truth of the matter is the Steelers aren't playing well right now. I mean, they just are not, right? They are winning football games, but two things can be true. You can win games and not play well enough in those football games. And I think both those things are true. Okay, all right, we're good. The bib going? I don't know what we're doing.
The who they tell.
I think the one thing he convinced me of in this game, though, is that the Bengals are going to exploit a weakness on the Steeler defense. Sonny touched on it. It is the idea that they're going to spread this Steeler defense out, play out of 11 personnel. That is what the Bengals like to do. To me, that has always been the way that you should attack a Steeler defense like this. It has always been the weakness of a Steeler defense. Spread them out and try to get them to declare and attack them that way through the passing game. Dallas had some success last week through doing that, but they only ran 11 personnel 56% of the time. Baltimore actually had the most success. They ran it 65% of the time. Cincinnati on the year averages using 11 personnel 78%, almost 80% of the time. So they are going to run this on almost every play, and we'll see how the Steeler defense responds. They have to get pressure on Burrow. That is going to be key number one in this game. They get pressure on Burrow. If they do what Baltimore did to Burrow, well, this is game set match. I mean, there's not a chance here for Burrow. Now, I told Ace yesterday on the show, I said, look, I'm going to predict the Bengals today, but I'm still thinking about this, and I don't know what I'm going to say on AFC North Talk. So am I going to split my votes here? Yes, I am. I'm switching. I'm going back to Steelers for this reason. Home road splits. The Steelers have played poorly in their last 3 games. Those 3 games have all been on the road. This game is back in Heinz Field. If you look at Ben Roethlisberger's numbers this year, his completion percentage higher when he's playing at home. His yards per attempt higher when he's playing at home. Touchdown to interception ratio way higher when he's playing at home. So I like Ben Roethlisberger. I like this offense in this football game. And the thing about the Bengals is they don't have a rushing attack that's going to scare this Steeler defense. I imagine the Steeler defense is not going to be scared to come out of their base, and they're going to go to nickel. They're going to go to dime. They're going to be just fine doing that. And I think that's going to pose some problems for Joe Burrow. The Steelers defense is going to key to shut down Joe Burrow in this game. I don't imagine he has a big game, but if he does, it's a competitive game, and I can definitely see a Steeler loss, but I'm not going to predict it.
Sorry, guys. I think a Steelers fan just kicked my Wi-Fi out there. I just kind of dropped off and came back. Sorry about that.
No worries.
For a second, I thought everybody had lost their mind. I thought everybody had legitimately lost their mind. Like, this is – come on, guys. Tony, I know you're bringing up all these logical things about the Steelers and why, this is not looking good for them. But all I saw was more dramatics for Big Ben to be like, look how much I overcame. Like, the more I see this stuff, I'm like, yep, this is putting it in the coffin for the Bengals, because the Steelers, if they were coming into this game were as mundane as possible, like it was coming into it, yeah, it would be fine. But now that they got intrigue and storyline, they're gonna come out playing like they did against the Browns. Like, this is what's gonna happen.
Hey, I'm for it.
I have simultaneously on this show, I will admit, have been as wrong as possible about this Steeler team and as right as possible about this team. Because once I stop on the 6-10, everything I've said about this team and how they would perform has been exactly to spec. I have no anticipation that this is going to be a close game. The Steelers are going to come into this game, and they're going to come focused because, as what Mike Tomlin says, you got to get hot in the kitchen when it comes.
Yeah, they're back in the kitchen in the AFC North.
You got to see if the kid can hold up. This is a rookie going against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense for the first time. Then let's be honest here. Joe Burrow has played better. That offensive line has played better. But one of the things that Joe Burrow did struggle against was when Baltimore confused him. And what Baltimore can do to confuse you is nothing on the level of what Pittsburgh can do to confuse you and pressure you. I just don't see this ending well. I think the offensive line has played better for Cincinnati, but I think this is going to be a rude awakening that the personnel still is not good enough for you. And if Joe Burrow gets confused, this defense is going to be able to capitalize and make turnovers happen off that mistake because they just have been. That's just what the Steelers do at this point. I don't see the Steelers coming in here sleepwalking against this game, especially now that it's in doubt because of all the Rona madness going on around it. Yeah, this is going to be a game where I think the Steelers should win easily, but if they do come like sleepwalking in, I get why it's appealing to say the other thing because the Bengals play good early on. The Steelers stink at the beginning. Maybe they can build too much of a lead, like they did against Indy, that can't be surmounted. But I just don't think it's going to be like Indy. I think the Steelers team's a little bit different, and I think Big Ben's going to be able to attack this the Bengals secondary and do a lot of things.
Quincy, did you throw that Steelers stuff away, or do you still have it somewhere?
I think it's in a closet somewhere.
I told you the Steelers are Quincy's second favorite team now. I told you this. Man. I already told you this.
I've seen it happen too much. I'm not about to give nobody no false hope. I'm not about to hype up Bengals fans and be like, look, y'all can do it. It's a path. It ain't no path, baby. Just take the L now. So on Monday, you ain't going to be trying to fire your coach and get a new quarterback. Like, I'm just trying to tell you, if you go into a Steelers game with hope that you're not going to win, you're going to come out of it talking about Case Keenum starting for your team. So,
no.
Is Ryan Finley still on the bench?
By the way, you have to give the Steelers defense credit. Every single game they have played after it, people have been talking about, well, what's the backup doing for the other quarterback? Even for the guy who won MVP last year, they were like, oh, well, maybe Lamar is not it. Maybe Baker's a bust. Yeah, they're going to be talking about, hey, Andy Dalton would have thrown like 2 interceptions against us. It's going to be something. Look, dog, just prepare for it. They're not going to come in sleeping. The Steelers are never going to do you a favor. They're never going to do a favor like that for an Ohio team, especially Ben Roethlisberger, who went to school in Miami of Ohio, is probably still salty about the Bengals for whatever reason. It ain't happening. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to side with the Steelers like this, but it's happening, man. It's happening. Their floor is 14-2. It's happening. Like, I don't know what to do about that, but that's enough on that game.
Sonny has something.
Sonny, go ahead, man.
Something real quick. There was a matchup that Dallas exploited a little bit, but not enough against the Steelers. Is when you spread them out, Bud Dupree was matching against a guy that I think is very soft in the NFL, Amari Cooper. Imagine if he goes against a guy like Boyd, right, in the slot.
Yeah,
that is problematic. Dallas didn't exploit that matchup enough. I mean, they did it a couple of times when they spread them out. This is where the Bengals, if they spread them out and they get either Bud Dupree or TJ Watt, but I didn't see TJ Watt enough going.
No, TJ Watt gave up a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb.
I know, but I'm saying it looked to me to happen more on Bud Dupree. Not that they got exploited. I saw him matching more in the slot. Gotcha. So this is a thing that the Bengals and other teams need to notice, because if you're going to put an outside linebacker, a middle linebacker are bad enough in coverage. Outside linebackers are even worse because they're used to be even more to be just in the dirt. Let me go rush the passer. Or if they go in coverage, they usually zone in. If they're going to put him man-to-man, again, I saw it about Dupree. I remember the touchdown on City with TJ Watt. This is where the Bengals need to live because that's where Boyd is usually, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is a matchup that the Bengals can exploit, and I'm hoping they do. And it will be interesting how the Steelers counteract that, right? Again, I'm hoping. I have my hopes that the Bengals squeak it out.
I got you, Sonny. The only thing I think is I don't think Bud Dupree and TJ Watt are going to be matched up on any wide receivers.
Yeah, I think
the matchup's going to be Bud Dupree on Joe Burrow's right butt cheek and TJ Watt on his left butt cheek. That's just going to be what's going to happen.
Do the Steelers have enough personnel for 5 wide though? Have the Steelers gone 5 wide? Like, have they defended against 5 wide?
That's what
that's what we do. That's what we do.
Right.
It's like the LSU Bengals offense.
Yeah, and the Steelers have to not be afraid to come out of their base, right? They haven't faced a team that's really wanted to spread them out, so they've been basically able to stay in base. Last week, the Cowboys did this a little bit. We saw the Ravens do it, although the Ravens ran out of it a lot. I imagine the Steelers are not going to want to stay in base as much because, look, let's be honest. The Bengals' rushing attack just is not as potent as the 4 that they just faced, right? We're talking about Zeke, Derrick Henry, the Browns, and the Ravens. So I think the Steelers are going to nickel. They'll go into dime. They'll be ready for those situations, hopefully. Otherwise, Sonny's right. If it's TJ Watt, if it's Bud Dupree dropping into coverage because the Steelers are in base, you're going to see Tyler Boyd. You're going to see a lot of the receivers for the Bengals have big days.
And I'm just to piggyback off of that, the thing that I'm worried about the most, obviously I'm worried about the pass rush, but the thing that worries me the most about the Steelers is not their defense. It's actually the offense. The fact that we don't really have anyone outside of William Jackson III, and they have all of those receivers, Mapletron and Deontay Johnson and James Washington, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about like Darius Phillips getting cooked by all of those guys.
Cover
like,
one.
That's what I'm worried about. And even Eric Ebron, I'm worried about him as well. So definitely.
Yeah, Eric Ebron leaping over, guys. We got a super chat here from Kodak655, and we're going to use this to kind of segue into the Ravens game. Think the Patriots game is a trap game. Also, thoughts on with Lamar saying the plays are being called out by the defenders. I imagine, Sonny, you want to get first dibs on that one. So what do you have to say?
Trap game, potentially. I mean, I feel like anytime we face, or this happens to the Steelers or the Browns too, anytime you face a team you're supposed to beat, you're going to go immediately like, oh, is this a trap game? I mean, it's a trap game if you lose. That's always the case, right? If you lose, it was a trap game. The Patriots right now, they don't have the personnel, in my opinion, to compete with even if you think that the Ravens are not the team that last year, right? But even a good to like a playoff contender team. I don't think the Patriots right now are that team. Yes, they did it against Seattle. I think that's the only good team that they were like toe-to-toe that I can remember. They squeaked by the Jets and they won. But I don't think that obviously the Ravens, in my opinion, are way better than the Jets. Calling out plays, look, the reality is with basically no fans in the stands, you will hear the defense call plays. And look, you see Lamar with the running back to the hip. What do you think it is? It's RPO, right? And that is on Lamar then to adjust. If he thinks that what they're saying is exactly the play you're running, like literally verbatim, then you say, okay, well, we need to change it, guys. And a lot of the Ravens plays, like I said, they're RPOs. And their RPOs meaning they could be a quarterback run, it could be a running back run, or it could be a pass to the receivers because the receivers are running routes. Now, since the Steelers game, especially that second half, the Ravens have gone more towards their style of playing from last year. Before that, Lamar was trying to do more dropbacks. They were trying to do more prototypical style quarterback. I don't think that fits Lamar. That also takes the element of guessing with their offense, right? The Steelers play Lamar like we play Colin Kaepernick in that Super Bowl, right? TJ Watt, when he was rushing, he said, Lamar, I'm going to hit you. Doesn't matter if you had the ball or not. I can care less. I'm going to hit you. And I think Lamar obviously didn't enjoy that or like that. So I think Lamar very quietly is trying to force himself also to be more of a pocket passer and drop back guy. I think they need to just keep going to what they were because it's very hard to call a play when you have an RPO that can be a run to a quarterback, a run to the running back, and there's receivers that if I want to pull, I can throw it. How are you going to call that play? It's an RPO, yes, but where's it going? Well, Lamar is making the decision as after the snap of the ball. So are they calling the play? Well, I'm going to take it to his word. Yes, probably they are. Well, he needs to adjust to that. Now, to the Patriots game. Look, the Patriots game, in my opinion, that defense, if the Jets, a very sorry Jets team, put 30 points or near 30 points, I think the Ravens can.
They were right there. They were right there.
They're almost there, right? The Ravens can definitely put points. The Ravens in this game need to run it and run it hard to them, and then play action, and then that's when you're gonna hit them over the top. The Jets don't have a secondary. The Jets really don't have an interior D line. The Jets really have linebackers. So this is a game that the offense needs to get going. They need to put points, and on the other side, the Jets really don't have an op. I mean, it's the reason why the Jets are the worst team, right? So the Patriots, who are their receivers? Yes, they got the guy, Cody something, that he went off on the Jets, right? Okay, Marlon is coming back. Marcus Peters coming out of a great game. The Ravens have corners to match up to the receivers plus, right? The running attack is non-existent. Yes, Calais Campbell will be missed, but what running attack did they miss? We had to be aware of Ken Newton. He carried the ball 10 times last game. So I think how this game should be for the Ravens is shut down the run, force them to pass, and just man up with the corners. The corners should be able to man on them. And on the other side, the Ravens offense should be just putting points on the Patriots. I was saying the Jets bet on the Patriots. That Patriots defense right now is also suspect. As the Jets put points with no offense, the Patriots are not the team that for the last year a lot of their stars on defense opted out. So I think this game should be a comfortable win for the Ravens. I'm going to go by 2 touchdowns. So I don't know, 27-13.
All right, we got some super chats to get to before we get to the rest of the panel here. The Trib says the Patriots are never a trap game. Got to agree with that until that's proven wrong. And also he said what Lamar said isn't really the issue. It's the fact that 2 players basically are calling out the OC. That's tough. Chris Sims on NBC Sports brought up the issues with the passing game. It's Greg. And then we also have one from Harry Holland, says watching NFL Live after y'all finish the show, perfectly demonstrating Greg Roman's ineptitude. Lamar was right. Oh my God, new OC next year. Oh, come on.
Wow.
You know,
So
I'll get to it later, but we'll let the rest of the panel get in on this. Tony, what are your thoughts on this game and the ideal? And I know it's kind of cliche, right? Because as a Browns fan, I've seen this like every year, right? When the Browns get blown out, we could feel their plays. We knew what they was calling. Like every defense says that when they're in a row. But it's kind of odd that the quarterback of the team that's plays are allegedly being called out is admitting that, and that's a little bit different. But Tony, what do you think, man?
Well, I'm ready to give my Lamar take. It was a couple weeks back where I said I have this Lamar take. I've had it for a while. I'm ready to go public with it. And then you guys talked me out of it. Now here we are again, and Lamar just keeps giving me more and more evidence. Now I'm ready to go Dennis Green. He is who I thought he was. Look, here's the problem with Lamar Jackson. He doesn't deal well with loss. He doesn't deal well with being down. Lamar Jackson, in a lot of ways, is a front runner. Okay, he's a guy who plays well when he's doing well. But when the chips are down against him, this guy, look, the fact that he's going out and saying, what's wrong? Look, Rich Eisen asked him, what's wrong with the offense? Just doesn't feel like it's as good as it was last year. Things aren't coming as easy to you. And what is his answer, right? He could say things like, I got to play better, right? The standard, your typical quarterback answer that everybody gives. And his answer is what? I'm throwing my offensive coordinator under the bus, baby. Hey, it ain't me. Hey, it ain't me. They know our plays. It's not me. It's not me. You think it's me? No. It's the offensive coordinator's fault. Go talk to Greg. That's the stuff where you start to worry a little bit. Look, there's a reason why every time he's behind, he plays his poor. I mean, the guy comes out against the Steelers, plays like crap, right? It's funny that this game is coming now because this is the one game that Ravens fans will always throw back at you when you say Lamar Jackson can't win big games. They go, What about the Patriots game? It's like, okay, you're right. Although, and here's the thing. That game last year, good win for the Ravens. It was a close-ish game, right? That was a back and forth or a little bit, but the Ravens really pulled ahead late in that game and won. The failure for the Patriots in this game is widely known, right? Their fall from grace. They lost Tom Brady. They lost so many players for opting out on the defensive side. We get that. Baltimore and why they're not as good as we thought they were going to be. Well, we're still trying to figure that out, right? As Lamar said, we talked about, during the offseason, is Baltimore going to get figured out? And Lamar Jackson literally went on national TV this year and said, yes, our offense is figured out. Defenses literally know what we're doing. So maybe they are figured out. Again, I still don't think this is true. They are, though. What's funny about the Ravens, they're kind of at like just throw stuff at the wall phase at this point. Like the Des Bryant, sure, yeah. Des Bryant, practice squad, active roster, yes, let's do this. They brought Luke Wilson in. They need another tight end because trading Hayden Hurst was probably not a great idea for them. They're just now coming around to the idea of like, 2 tight end sets were a good thing for us. Like, God, okay, we'll try that one more time this year. I still believe after saying all of this, right? I still believe the Ravens will be fine. I think they win this football game. I do think this is a dangerous game for them, though. Belichick is still a good defensive mind, and if the Ravens, if the Ravens offense is not who we think it is, as far as it's going to just, it'll figure itself out. If there really are these fatal flaws in this offense, I think Bill Belichick could put together a game plan that holds this Ravens offense down once again. And the thing that's going to hold them back likely is that New England's offense is just not on the level, right? We're talking about an offense-driven league. Well, the Ravens offense, even at the level it's at now, where it's, again, just NFL average, and New England's offense at times is, again, one of the worst. So, and Baltimore's defense is very good. So, I don't see the Ravens losing this football game, but I do think it's funny that, look, Lamar Jackson, he's got to take some, he's got to take some of the blame here on himself, right?
Sonny.
As a person, he's got to take.
Let me stop you.
Hold on, wait. Before you jump in, Sonny, I want to let Trib get his say in. He put a super chat. He also said, to be fair, Greg offseason was difficult, and the Ravens have had a lot of moving pieces, kind of hard to implement new ideas with musical chairs going on with your players, hoping for progress. All right, Sonny, what do you have to say, man?
Lamar Jackson has always taken responsibility. This is the first time that I've seen this dude say something that it wasn't him. Like, go back to all the losses. He will say, even in wins, the team wouldn't play good. He'd be like, yo, I had to play better. The team did this for me, blah, blah, blah. Lamar Jackson, that was true about Flacco. For all the people that love Flacco, Flacco will deflect responsibility any given time. Any given time. If the team lost, they were like, well, he never said I did anything bad. He said we need to play better, but he will never say I did this or that. Lamar Jackson has come. Go back and check the Steelers press conference after the game. He said it. It was my bad. I threw those picks. We were bad throws, blah, blah, blah. This is the first time, and I didn't like it, to be honest, that he said, it's the play calling, right? It's the play calling. Literally the first thing. The rest of the time, Lamar has always said, you know what? I need to play better. The team's counting on me. The dude is notoriously known for saying, this is on me. I need to lead the team. So, yes, this was not a great quote. But, yeah, no, responsibility, the dude takes responsibility.
Let me interject here real quick because I do have to ask this question. One, I get you're saying he's always said the right things. I don't think that's necessarily what Tony was saying, was that he's not coming out here and doing the right things. I think he's saying more or less the onus right now, it seems like in Baltimore, has not been about Lamar Jackson improving. It's been about everything else around Lamar Jackson stepping up and improving, and that kind of being the issue here. I don't think Lamar blames anybody but himself. I don't think Lamar thinks he's perfect in any way. That's not any of my issues with him. I think he does take responsibility. Now, again, he has an incredible record as a starting quarterback. So, what's been there to blame him on, you know what I mean? He really hasn't been in that kind of an opportunity where he's had, where he's legitimately not been to blame or whatever it was. So that's not at question, but I do think what's at question is, at what point do we look at Lamar Jackson and what he's produced this year through 8 games and talk about him as, is he somebody who is a top 5 quarterback? This is my thing with Lamar. If he's going to be a top 5 or even top 3 quarterback, which a lot of people said he was, then he needs to be held up to those kind of standards. And I don't think he's played a single game this year that's been top 3 quarterback worthy, especially this year with how good quarterback play has been. So you have a situation where you could say all the excuses about the offseason and the offense and everything. Everybody else has had those excuses. Quarterback plays went up across the board. And somehow he's the only guy who seems to, I don't want to say regressing, I think that's too strong of a word, but not improving upon what he did last year. And again, it's a high bar. Patrick Mahomes didn't even reclaim the bar that he did. But it's not just that he's not reclaiming it, it's that he's not even looking like he's in the same percentile that he was last year as far as level of play goes. And now I do want to get into some of these super chats. I don't want to let them get ignored much longer. The Trip has said Lamar has proved to be a blame me type QB. This is the only interview that I can remember him doing that. He's probably speaking up for his guys. Another thing is Lamar is straight up. I wish y'all would have that same objectiveness when y'all talk about Baker Mayfield, because y'all call him a brat. He does the same stuff Lamar does on the press conferences. But, that's true. You have to give respect where respect is due. Harry Holland says Lamar is taking responsibility for the Steelers game. Watch NFL Live and tell me that Greg Roman isn't doing the same thing that got him fired before. Again, look, if you want to blame the offensive coordinator, that's a slippery slope to get down, because last year the offensive coordinator was the main thing that y'all were praising. So I don't know if firing Greg Roman, is that really going to be the solution here? Is Greg Roman really the problem here? I mean, maybe he's running up against the same wall that he ran up with Colin Kaepernick, where Colin Kaepernick stopped developing to a point to where his offense could not evolve past a certain point to where it got kind of predictable and teams caught up with it. Now Lamar's at that crossroads. He's a much better passer. I don't know if he's a much better passer than Colin Kaepernick, but he has more potential on that side than Cap did. But the question is, will he develop into that? Because one of the things we are learning about the Greg Roman offense is that if you don't expand, it does become something that teams can predict and call out. And that's one of the hallmarks against it that we're seeing. So it's kind of up to Lamar to be able to do some of these things, or it's up to the Ravens to be able to build around him more properly. Either way, Lamar has to play better and play like a top 5 quarterback. And that's all I want to see out of Lamar is have him play like a top 5 quarterback. Because, again, the thing I said about last week was the game he had last week would be a good game for Baker Mayfield, but for a guy who's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback, that's not cutting the mustard, quite frankly. But if we're going to talk about this week's game, Sonny, real quick, just give me a prediction what you think is going to happen.
I think the Ravens dominate on these, and they're just going to run the ball and chuck the clock out. And then I think this is a game that you will see Hollywood getting one deep pass to him. And Lamar will probably break around 220 to 240, and the Ravens are probably going to run around $150 to $170 on rushing side. And in the defense, I think will have a good showing. I think the Ravens probably win 27-13 is my prediction.
All right, that's interesting. Cap isn't in Lamar. So, Cap went to the Super Bowl. All right, then we got another super chat from Trip. Can somebody put that up for me? All right, it says Lamar is better than last year. His old talent is much worse. Huh? Okay. Got to separate the team from the individual. Baker tanked the Browns' offense. Now plays field general. Lamar lifts the rate. Here's the thing about that take. And Trip, I respect you. You come on here all the time. You show love. I really do love what you do here. But here's the thing about that take. Wasn't coming into the season, we were talking about how this Raven team improved from being 14-2. Wasn't coming into this season how we talked about everything was better with this Ravens team coming into the season. How, the wide receivers were going to be better. Dare I say, Marquise Brown was going to have a breakout year. Weren't we expecting this team to be better than they were last year? Was that not the fair expectation? I believe 16-0 was not a wild prediction for this Ravens team in the offseason.
If you're Colin Cowherd, that's
Colin Cowherd said it. Joe, who comes into the show sometimes, he said it. It's my thing with the Ravens is you can't sit here and tell me it's the players around Lamar when Lamar doesn't have that players around him. That's not the case in this situation. He has some of the best running back room. He has a good running back room. He has good support there.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
The running backs? Okay.
The Mark Ingram, I'm not to.
They upgraded to Dobbins. There was supposed to be an upgrade to Dobbins this year. Dobbins is the big pick for them in the second round.
But do they have a top 10 running back in the NFL? I would say no. I'd say
no. But they
didn't have that last year.
Yeah, wasn't the
they didn't have that last year?
You could almost plug anybody in.
Lamar was a top 10 running back. I'm not even being a joke.
I can't say that they have great weapons though. If you take Lamar Jackson's team, Lamar Jackson's team and you compare it to Pat Mahomes, right? Pat Mahomes has a better coach, Andy Reid. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Travis Kelce. He's got all of these weapons. He's got Le'Veon Bell as his running back. Le'Veon Bell right now is still better than Mark Ingram, at this point. And Le'Veon Bell is washed. So he doesn't really have that many weapons, in my opinion. It's not like he's just got this repertoire of great weapons and he's not doing anything. It's like Marquise Brown and nobody else outside of Mark Andrews.
Marquise Brown?
Mark Andrews. They didn't get worse. Right? The only thing we can say is they did not get worse.
And I agree with Quincy. Hollywood Brown isn't a number one receiver. He's supposed to be your second guy. He's not a number one receiver. So to me, I can't say that the Ravens just have this a bunch of weapons. The Bengals have Joe Burrow has way more weapons than Lamar Jackson has. It's night and day.
The key question is though, what changed from last year to this year when they were the top offense in football to this year where they're not at that same level? What changed personnel wise? The O-line, but this team was sputtering before Ronnie Stanley went down. Let's not act like
Yander retired in the offseason.
Is Yander that important though? Is a right guard.
Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer, but still a right guard is the difference between you looking like 14-2, the best team in the NFL, the best offense in the NFL, to massive questions about your quarterback. Is that really what we're gonna say is the difference here?
So for me, not necessarily the play calling. I will agree here with Quincy. Greg Roman, I remember Ravens fans, you guys were freaking out. Oh my God, Greg Roman's going to be a head coach somewhere else. We're going to lose Greg Roman. Oh my God, who's going to be? And now everybody wants to fire Greg Giro. I think that the play calling wasn't necessarily the problem. Is how they started the year, meaning they went from what they did last year and they wanted to do something different this year. They still wanted to run, but not as much. They wanted to have Lamar be more of a drop back passer than last year, right? Last year was run heavy, RPO, and then we're gonna hit you quick because we're gonna catch the defense cheating and overcommitting to the run, and that's where the pass comes. This year, they went more like, okay, let me drop back with Lamar, let the play develop. Well, you don't have the receivers for doing that, right? So it's not Giro, it's somewhere the offense during the offseason, and I think Lamar was part of this. They said, we want to go more to the typical style, and then instead of being more run heavy, hit you with a pass, it was more, let's go 50-50, and occasionally Lamar hits them with a big run, right? And now you will see in the past, again, 2 weeks when Ronnie Stanley went out specifically, they said, we can't do this. We were bad before with bad tackle. Now we're going to be worse. So I think what Quincy's saying is spot on here. I think the Ravens fans, we make too much excuses. Lamar has not played at the level that he should have been playing. Is it all on Lamar? Well, no. I think they tried to put him in a situation, and I think, again, Lamar was part of this, that he doesn't excel, and instead of them saying, let's go back into what we did good last year, they kept going with it. And, I mean, you can keep going with it when you're winning, right? The team kept winning, yes, the 2 losses, but for the most part, they were winning. So that was a big thing. And then the other thing is, guys, the receivers, yes, the receivers are not playing stellar, but Lamar has also not been throwing the ball great to those receivers. So I think it's both things. The receivers haven't been playing great, but Lamar hasn't been throwing the ball as good as he should, or like he threw it last year.
All right, we got some super chats to get to real quick. Tripp says, scared about this game. I got the Pats 24-21. Wow. Harry says, Q, you just proved it's Greg Roman. I think in that take, I was saying, hey, Greg Roman's offense is evolving, but Lamar Jackson's not evolving at that same rate. So tell me who you think the common denominator is in that one. Also, the Tripp says here, I don't speak for everyone. I thought our defense got much better. I miss Yanda the moment he went out the door. I expected more from Duvernay. I told y'all about them rookie wide receivers. But what else did we add on offense? I expected 12-4. There's a lot of humble Raven fans that weren't here.
Well, they were not here at the beginning of the season.
But J.K. Dobbins was supposed to be a big addition to this offense because if in the event of a Mark Ingram regression, J.K. Dobbins was supposed to step in. Dobbins has stepped in. I mean, he was good against the Steelers. What was the problem in that game? Not the running game, right? The problem in that game was Lamar.
I think that's been the difference this season. If you look at why they haven't been performing, I want to ask a question real quick, and then I know Ace wants to ask a question as well. But real quick, is Lamar Jackson the Giannis Antetokounmpo of the NFL? Is he? Like, is he? This seems like a parallel. I mean, like every time Giannis gets stopped, everybody's like, hey, look, it's got to be everybody else but Giannis. But the reality is Giannis can't shoot that jumper. Lamar can't hit those outside, deep corners.
He is right now, right? It doesn't have to be forever, right? When I talk about like, oh, Lamar can't win the big game, right? He's a front runner, right? Right now, I mean, I'm talking about like right now. He can evolve out of it, obviously, right? We've seen players. Peyton Manning had the idea for a long time that he can't win a big game, right? Oh, he chokes in every big moment. Peyton Manning shed that late in his career. No one was talking about Peyton Manning as a choker in big moments later in his career. So, Lamar can shed this, but right now, I think it is a real wonder that you have an offense that was the best in the league last year, 14-2. John Harbaugh won Coach of the Year last year. Lamar Jackson was MVP, and all of a sudden, they don't change much offensively, and they're just way worse. I mean, they're just way worse offensively. And we talk about, I know play calling keeps getting brought up. I'm looking at Lamar's stats right here. Look, the number of passes he's throwing this year is not going to be wildly different than what he threw last year. He had 15 games last year, Lamar Jackson did. He threw 400 passes. He's on pace right now. If he plays 16 games, he'll throw the ball 416 times. So pretty much the same, identical. But what is true about him this year, his completion percentage, down, 62%. His yards, down. He's going to throw for right around 3,000. His touchdowns, down. He'll throw for right around 24. His interceptions are up. But the big thing that is way up for Lamar Jackson this year, and I think you could point to something they lost this offseason, and that's the offensive line. He has been sacked 21 times this year. He was sacked just 23 times all of last year. That could be a big part of it. And maybe we need to talk more about the offensive line because that is a huge jump. We're talking about going from 20 sacks in a season to potentially 40.
Is it the offensive line, or is it Lamar not being as elusive as he was last year to be able to make those plays out of those situations? That's something that was huge for him last year. Go ahead, Sonny.
I was going to say it's both things. I think Lamar right now, again, wanting him to be more of a drop back, he was not only holding the ball, you will see Green in front of him, and he just didn't run, right? He just kept looking for these guys. And sometimes you're like, dude, you just have open field, run. I think it's, again, I think a lot of people that are very hardcore Lamar fans, and I love Lamar Jackson, but we'll try to make every single excuse why he's playing this way. But the reality is some of it is his fault, and some of it is not. It goes both ways. But you cannot say, well, it's just not Lamar's fault. It's Giro's, the O-line, the receivers. No. The receivers have some of it. The O-line is big, but that's only in the past 2 to 3 weeks. And Lamar has some blame in it. And in the case of Giro, I'm not seeing that he called anything that, oh, my God, this is a horrible game. Last year, I would say, dude, that was a bad play call. And this year, he has some bad play calls. But overall, you can't blame the guy. I think there's execution problems right now more than the play calling problems.
All right, we're going to go to a super chat from the Trib here. He says, not an average fan. When people talking about the 14 Pro Bowlers, I only saw Lamar, the 2 corners, Earl, the 2 tackles, Pierce, and the tight ends being that's a lot of players being special. We had holes on every level last year. Interesting. All right, we got another one from Harry Holland who says, who doesn't put Duvernay and Dobbins on the field? Roman. Just watch the NFL Live segment next week. We can discuss it, man. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But I know, Ace, you had something to say.
Yeah, so you guys know that, for the most part, you probably consider me like a LJ sympathizer, right? But the one thing that I want to say is this. When we talk about Greg Roman, we talk about all of this stuff with him changing the offense. Was that because Greg Roman wanted to change the offense, or was it because Lamar did this whole thing of, I'm not bad for a running back, I want to prove to these guys that I can throw passes and stuff like that? And it seems to me like it's backfired. I think a lot of that pressure that Greg Roman got and has had behind him changing the offense so much could be because of the questions surrounding Lamar Jackson. And I think that it's been something where, I think obviously when Lamar Jackson was drafted, he was affected by the comments, by the media, and by what people were saying about him. And he wanted to prove them wrong. I think he's taking it far too serious and to a whole nother level where, and like I said, I don't know this. I'm not a Ravens insider. I'm just an outside guy looking in. It seems to me what has been going on is, even though the Ravens were a top offense with that running game and that running attack, that RPO and everything, they're trying to run this offense like they're trying to prove a point that Lamar Jackson can be a quarterback that can also sling it, right? He doesn't have to just depend on his legs. And I think that that's an issue. I think that it's put pressure on Greg Roman and his coaching staff to try to make him a passer, which I don't think that they should do. Now, like I said, I don't know what's going on, but I think that there could be, if I was in Greg Roman's shoes, that could be a lot of pressure from not only Lamar Jackson, but from ownership. If they really want to take this guy and get rid of those narratives, I think that they're more worried about the narrative about him being a running quarterback than actually winning games. And to me, I think at this point, go back to what you were doing. If it's not broken, don't change it. Don't fix it. You were in the top 2 last year in terms of scoring offense. People weren't able to defend that. So, it's just like if you had Cam Newton right now. Would you try to make Cam Newton run the same offense as Joe Burrow? No.
I think we lost him for a second.
Ravens fans strike again.
Yeah, Raven fans have gotten into the Kodak and took him out there on a hilarious screenshot, by the way. Tony, real quick, I didn't get your score prediction for this game. Can you give me a score prediction while we're
I think the Ravens win. I think it'll be, probably too close to for Ravens fans, but somewhere in the range of like 23-17, something like that. Again, I just don't think New England has the firepower to keep up. I do think Belichick can put something together to slow this Ravens offense down if indeed, again, this is this massive problem. But I just don't think New England has enough to keep up.
It's going to be interesting, too, because I think New England has times where they play very well and they're able to shut down like the first half of the Kansas City game where they did really well against that team. It's just, is the offense going to be able to keep up? And one of the things I was concerned about watching them play last week was that Cam Newton just looks old. He doesn't look young anymore. He looks very old. He can't run like he used to. He's falling down, If this were the Patriots team last year, I could see it. I do think Bill Belichick's going to come out here and try something, because he really does not. That loss did not sit well with him last year. But do I think he's going to be able to do anything about it? No, he's probably not going to be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I think the Ravens are probably going to win this game and probably going to win this game comfortably. And maybe, look, Lamar might have a breakout, start running like he used to, and then we're just back on like, all right, Lamar is the MVP type thing. But right now, I hate to admit it, the only guy who has a chance to be an MVP candidate in the AFC North is Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, okay, but we got to stop talking about that because it's not going to happen. There's no way Ben's getting MVP talk.
He's not playing MVP level.
I'm going to keep on doing it because
he's not going to get it. Look, MVP is about what are you doing with no one around you, right? Ben Roethlisberger has too good a defense. It's why Tomlin's not going to get Coach of the Year either, right? Because Coach of the Year Coach of the Year has become this most improved award. Where did you take a bad team last year and turn them into a great team? Brian Flores right now, if the Dolphins continue on their,
I think he's my number 2.
He'll get it.
He should have got it last year.
Tomlin should have got Coach of the Year last year. Yes, I agree with that.
Oh no, I was talking about Brian Flores because he would. That team was awful last year. He made them like 6-10. Look at
How?
What do you mean?
The Steelers had Mason Rudolph and Duck, and they were 8-8. That is a Coach of the Year performance.
Make the playoffs.
The Dolphins traded away their entire franchise and went 6-10.
Even the
they
water
were trying to
boy
go 6-10. That was intentional. It was an intentional 6.
They weren't trying to go 6-10. They were trying to go 0-16.
They were trying to be bad. They were bad. They were 5-11. First of all, they were 5-11. They got the quarterback they wanted. No.
That's a reverse Hugh Jackson, baby. That's a reverse Hugh Jackson. I got to show respect to that because Hugh Jackson got that same situation. Was like, I guess 1-31 is the best I could do. That man won 5 games. That's amazing. But
by the way, we found out what happened to Ace. His supercomputer room with all his PS5s are all downloading Spider-Man and Call of Duty and whatnot. That's what took down his Wi-Fi.
Yeah. His Xbox Series X just blew up. All right. But let's get to the outros here. We're running a little late.
Yeah.
Sonny, any final parting shots as you tell them where to find you?
Hey guys, I think this week's and for the AFC North talk, I think big game will obviously is the AFC North shutdown between Steelers and Bengals. We'll see how that game goes. I think the other two teams have I think both Ravens and the Browns have an easier path. Hey, you can find me SZG Sports everywhere. Plus, guys, look. If you really want to help this channel up, one of the things you can do is join us on Flick. We're going to be trying to use comment and write during the game on Flick. So go check us on Flick, Flick. So go check that out. The AFC North Talk Flick. Yeah, man, join in and you can talk as much trash talk if you want.
Coming back.
All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Apparently,
I think with the storm and everything down here in Florida, apparently my internet just went out. So sorry about that.
Probably right behind you.
All right. Ace, any parting shots before we head out?
Nah, man. I think what I was just trying to say is I think that the Ravens are just trying to get Lamar Jackson to do too much and get out of his comfort zone and are really they really should just do what they're used to doing, which is what they did last year. So those are just my parting thoughts on that.
I said the Steelers' floor was 14-2. I'm getting called a hater by Steeler fans, unironically. This is hilarious.
Crazy though, especially when we know that they should have lost against the Eagles and other teams.
Whoa!
They
shouldn't have lost any of these games. They're 8-0 for a reason because they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, trust me. I hope they do nothing more than lose 8 games in a row. Like I really do. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
They are a good team though. Don't get it twisted. Still,
yeah. No, this is what I want to say to Steeler fans, okay? Every Steeler fan, just calm down and enjoy this season. Steeler fans are so worked up. Anytime anyone in the media says the Steelers are not the best team in the NFL, there's like 10,000 people on Twitter who all go absolutely nuts. They're all tweeting at each other. Can you believe what this guy said? No, look, here's the thing. And the one thing that gets me is all these Steelers fans who are freaking out about power rankings. First of all, who cares about power rankings? Second of all, if you want the Steelers to be number one in a power ranking, go to NFL.com, go to the standings, and sort by record. Hey, they have the best record in the NFL, right? Power rankings are not who has the best record in the NFL. It's who's playing the best. And there is a legitimate argument right now to be made. The Steelers are not playing the best football, even though they're 8-0. So, again, I just hope Steeler fans calm down, enjoy the season. It's going very well for the Steelers. They aren't playing well right now, but they're still winning. That's the best thing you can say about a football team because they still got half the year to go. So, and then with that, I'll say, follow me on Twitter at Steeler Country. You can find me on Locked On Steelers on Tuesdays, and I'm here Tuesday and Thursday, 5:45. Like, subscribe, and thank you to all the people who have subscribed or hit us up on Super Chat.
And Steelers fans, I really do implore you guys to just enjoy what's going on right now. Enjoy this regular season because you're going to lose in the playoffs. You're not going to win.
Here we go.
You're not going to do it. And you're not going to do it. You're going to lose in the playoffs. You're going to lose your first game at home. It's going to be no. Yeah, it's going to be bad. You know what I mean? You're going to be angry. You're going to want to fire Mike Tomlin after that. And then Big Ben's finally going to retire in like 5 years. And then your franchise is going to be in the dirt. When Mason Rudolph steps up and is the next franchise guy, you give him $20 million a year to be last place, and the Browns will rise from the ashes and become.
All right, and we are now exiting fantasy land and back to reality.
Look, but yeah, enjoy this right now. This is probably as good as it's going to get for this entire decade, Steeler fans. Like right here at this moment. I mean, like, when was the last time you guys went 8-0? It's been like since the 20s. So, like, enjoy where you're at right now because this is good. This is peak. This is as fun as it's going to get because you're not winning a championship anytime soon.
19-0. 19-0. 19-0.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any bets on that because I learned my lesson. But I don't think that's very likely. But if you want to find me or, spam my comment section because I've seen y'all doing that, follow me, youtube.com/Quincy Carrier, Twitter at Quen, KWEN_C, twitch.tv/Quincy Carrier. I'm in all those spaces. Check me out. I'm going to be live tomorrow playing Madden. Ace sometimes drops in there to troll me. We have a good time. That everybody has given their outros. Did I miss anybody?
You missed me. You can find me calling the Spectrum customer service line because my internet apparently is dead. But you can find me at New Stripe City. You can find me here on the AFC North Talk and also on Twitter at New Stripe City.
Definitely. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers and shout out to y'all when y'all signing Jameis Winston as a tryout to be the starting quarterback in a couple of years. But that's going to be it for this week's AFC North Talk. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.